Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the Vladimir Tarasenko deal between him, the Blues, and the New York Rangers. Now let's talk about the trade. And this is kind of, not shocking. I feel like it's expected, but just kind of weird as the Blues trade Vladimir Tarasenko and Nico Mikkola to the Rangers in exchange for Sammy Blais. Hunter Skinner, no NHL appearances yet, I don't think. 2023 first-round pick and then a fourth-round pick. And while I do say it is strange, I feel like, this is something we've expected for a while now. You think of Tarasenko in his career, done a lot with the Blues, absolutely, but in 2021, I believe he ended up requesting a trade to be traded from St. Louis. I think a lot of that was tied to A, just kind of the injuries that he was dealing with, and B, the contract talk with him. And I don't know, it feels really sad to see a guy like him that was the talk of St. Louis and the pride of St. Louis want out. And that is just kind of the relationship it feels like him and St. Louis have had for a while now. But I will say it feels a little bit more quiet now leading up to this than it had been for a while there. But the reason that this really happens besides that is the Blues' current spot. Coming into the season, I felt like personally the Blues were a team that I did expect to regress. I said that in my season preview. I took a lot of heat last year because the Blues really outperformed a lot of expectations, and I was saying, they're going to regress. I didn't think they'd be this bad. I actually thought that they would be a playoff team, and here we are now. And Vladdy is not the only one that's going to be traded out of all this. We're looking at the situation, the streakiness of the Blues, where they got out to a good start, then they really started to, go downhill, then they got a winning streak. The streakiness early on especially is the problem, and that's not the only problem considering that they are sixth in the Central right now. But in general, the spot in the standings is where St. Louis is probably looking at this with some of the guys that they have on the books, and I think a lot of these bigger names are on expiring deals and they want to get value out of them. So this is one of those things where they saw a guy that wanted to leave in Tarasenko, and the situation where they're at, where they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and they said we can make this happen and benefit ourselves. So for New York, the Rangers are on the opposite end of the spectrum here. They are a team that made the playoffs last year, made the Eastern Conference Final, outperformed expectations, especially for me. I did not expect New York to get there. Shesterkin was insane, a monster last year, but they are looking to get back there and looking to make another run, as they have a team that isn't perfect but is very entertaining and they can win games. So for them, they want to make moves to try to bolster their chances. You've got teams that have been killing it like Boston that they know they're going to have to go through in all likelihood, or at least a team that's good. At some point they're going to play these good teams and have to make moves. So for the Rangers, this is a preemptive move to try to make the team better. And for me, I look at this and I say Tarasenko has been one of the better offensive players in the league for a good stretch of time. I would say at his peak in terms of goal scoring ability, probably like top 5 for a small period there, because he was just insane and a guy that could score a ton of goals in a year. And injuries have kind of taken away from what his ability is to do. Again, I think if he's healthy, you're not really looking at him possibly even leaving St. Louis unless they're in a spot where they are now, where the team's not doing as well. But for the Rangers, they're looking at this and hoping that maybe they can get something out of him. They're getting more offensive depth, and this is one of those deals you don't like to trade away the first round pick, Sammy Blais, and the other guy, Skinner. You don't want to trade away these guys too, but to get a guy like Tarasenko that very well could get hot in the playoffs, that is what they're hoping for, and they are hoping that this can get them to the cup and maybe even win it. Now, will this be the only thing that is the reason they make the cup? No, not exactly, but again, you're looking at this, two teams opposite end of the NHL spectrum. The Blues in this deal are getting some prospects. I don't know if Blais is a prospect anymore. I can't remember how many games he's played, but you're getting some young guys that could be part of the future. I don't know if they will be. And then a high-end pick, whereas New York, again, a team that's focused on the now. They're focused on winning as many games as possible, and they're focused on going on a run. So for them, I do look at this, and I think that they could get a win out of this, especially if they go on a deep run. This is not the craziest of trades. They ended up not having to give up Laugh or, Kakko. And I know a lot of people would say, especially Kakko is a guy that hasn't lived up to that number 2 overall pick. they're young. These guys are young. Give them a little bit more time. If they catch on and they light it up in the future for New York, that's great. So they didn't really have to give up anything there. Yeah, they did give up that first round pick, but it's okay. The only thing I will say, as of right now, looking at this deal, I do think that Tarasenko will probably be a rental for them, just because next year they've allocated about $67.5 million in cap for next year for 14 players. You know that they've got like 20, a little less than $20 million to work with here for the cap, and so you also have to realize they've got other guys to sign. So Vladdy might not be a Ranger after this season, but again, this is one of those things. I don't think the things that they give up is crazy for Tarasenko, and I think that if he gets hot, this is going to be great for him and the Rangers. As for St. Louis, again, getting guys that maybe could be part of the future. If not, maybe you could flip them off for assets, and then you could get that first round pick. That's good for them, but again, expect St. Louis to be a seller as the trade deadline approaches. O'Reilly's got to probably be gone as well, and anybody else that they want to send out. Not exactly exciting times, I think, for the Blues in the coming years. They could, definitely be maybe not bottom of the barrel just yet, but if they do decide to really ship a lot of guys out, they could be looking at themselves being one of the worst teams in the league in the coming years. We'll have to see. All in all, though, I think that the Rangers, if they're going to win this trade, and we'll have to see exactly how this goes. Tarasenko is a guy that has battled a lot of injuries, but who do you think won this trade and why? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go love hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.